In 2013, I went on my own little adventure to a non-industrialized culture. Hopi is an indigenous culture that has lived in what is now northeastern Arizona since the beginning of time. I was fortunate enough to be there cooking alongside a traditional Hopi woman. We worked on a recipe together that absolutely opened my eyes and gave me a whole new perspective on what's missing in industrialized food. The recipe begins, as many Hopi recipes do, with corn. This corn was given to the Hopi ancestors by the Creator and has been passed down generation after generation. Now, Hopi corn is grown by the men of the community, and they treat the corn like their children. They sing to it, they nurture it, and they love it like it's their family. And this corn is grown in the harshest environments in a place where it never rains. The entire community participates in ceremonies to ensure the crop and to encourage rain. Once the corn is harvested, it's dried for a year and then it's sifted in hand-woven baskets that women learn to weave at a particular time in their life from a special person within the community. The recipe that we were making with this corn was for the birth of a child, and we took each kernel of corn, cracked it on a cement block, and put it into a bucket. And women all over the community were doing this, cracking individual pieces of corn and filling bucket after bucket for the celebration of this newborn child's life. When all of these buckets of corn were cooked in broth, they burst open like a flower and represented a prayer for the child's life. Our recipes no longer begin with the planting of a seed that came to us from the Creator through the ancestors. The layers of connectedness between people and song and food and celebration and tradition are no longer present even in our consciousness when we eat. Industrialization has not only processed out nutrients, it's processed out prayer, it's processed out community, ceremony, connection. These things give us life just as much as the food we eat. In Ayurveda, which is an ancient healing tradition from India, the process of preparing an ingredient in a particular way is thought to build particular aspects of your character. As we rely more and more on processed foods of convenience in which all we're required to do is open the package, how are we nourishing our consciousness and developing our character? Is it any surprise that we're suffering not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally? Now, we've had Dr. Price's documentation of the differences and the benefits of a traditional versus an industrialized diet since 1939. But these recommendations are at odds with the industrialized food system. They're at odds with capitalism, and they're at odds with colonialism. As we embark on a whole foods diet, we're also at odds with those things. Now, people will say to me, I just don't like to cook, or spending time in the kitchen just isn't fun for me. But those feelings are a result of a social brainwashing and a spiritual forgetting. Time spent preparing your food is the ultimate act of self-care. It's a direct connection to your ancestors. It's a direct connection to abundance and community. It's capitalism that's made it an isolating, mundane process. A big part of this whole food lifestyle kink for me is that every time I put something in my mouth, I have the option in some way to subvert the dominant paradigm. I look forward to sharing with you the tools that I use to free myself from the binds of the industrialized food system and to rekindle the ancestral love affair with the true source of nourishment, vitality, and healing.